On Wednesday, Wizards of the Coast announced they would switch their 2024 Secret Lair releases from print on demand or limited runs to limited runs in an effort to speed up the production and release of cards to customers. The news has been met with significant fervor in the MTG community. Do we think this is a good step for the popular card maker? Mallow?
No, I don't think so. I think the first thing that I thought here when I saw this story break this morning, actually, is that scalpers are going to have a field day with this. The secondary market for a lot of the Secret Lair stuff is already pretty high.
Stupid.
And having it's pretty stupid high on certain things, and having limited runs now for these things going forward is just going to set up the resellers market to be even worse. And that's all money that unless something changes at Wizards of the Coast, they don't see a single cent of the resale market. Like, they don't have to, like, Card Kingdom and TCG Player and things like that don't pay a commission to Wizards of the Coast when they resell a card on their marketplace.
Neither do game stores. I'm going to take it one step further and to put an immediate disclaimer on this. I have not been in any board meetings or meeting rooms at Wizards of the Coast, so I am merely speculating and or theorizing. The thing that smells to me about this is this, and I quote, "There may still be some exceptions where Secret Lair drops continue to be print on demand for an ordering window, but moving forward, you should expect that most drops will be pre-printed." So what this tells me is, we would like to be able to manipulate the secondary market without telling you we're manipulating the secondary market, right? The only reason you would not have a hard and fast rule on this is you see a benefit to making it a mystery. Is it pre-built? Is it all preprint, or is it print on demand? The world will never know. And so if they see things in the secondary market or the competitive meta that are being tweaked out by Secret Lair stuff, again, this stinks to me, because it's not, we are only going to pre-print it for Secret Lair from now on, which would lead me to scalpers having field day and things like that. But that's we're worried about the logistics of this, and we're legitimately worried about our customers getting stuff on time. So we're always going to have this policy, right? Yeah. When they immediately caveat the announcement of the policy of, here's our policy, unless we feel like doing it on a one-off basis, that feels shady as fuck to me. And I don't like it.
I don't think it's shady. I think it's that they're covering their bases if they decide to go back to this print on demand in the back.
If they decide that they want to manipulate the secondary market without manipulating the secondary market.
They're not going to. They can't. There's nothing that they can do to do that.
Right? They can flood.
So?
I'm just saying.
What is it? It doesn't do anything to them. It actually costs them more money to do that. In true value, when we talked about the royalties and things like that, they have to pay to certain artists and stuff for back in the day. It costs them money to go and produce, ship, all that kind of stuff to do these kind of things in the market. What this comes to me is, and why they put that caveat in there is PR speak. I don't think it's that they're trying to manipulate. I don't think they've got the time. They certainly don't have the people anymore to do that kind of thing. What I think this is really just kind of setting up to be is, we know that we have a bunch of new Magic players that have flooded the market because of Universes Beyond and all of these crossover things, and things like the Jurassic Park expansions and things like that were hits. And now we're going to lean into FOMO as a way to initially just cut costs, because print on demand is more expensive than pre-printing these things and getting them shipped in bulk. Because what they can do is do it quarterly, or they can do it half a year, where they get all the possible cards printed, shipped over in one container, and that's all they've got. So they are looking at it as both a FOMO kind of thing from a marketing perspective, where you get it while you get it. And I can imagine that they may even have this thing could possibly sell out or something like that. They might have a bar, on the website that says how many of them have been sold or something, maybe. I don't know. That's all speculation. But I think this is looking at a little bit of a cost-cutting measure for that, because these are usually foiled cards. They're usually extra art, fancy stuff, different types of prints, things like that. And I think that they're just going to look to, instead of print on demand, where a lot of people are probably waiting on the secondary market to see how much it's going to get to be. They're going to lean in and say, no, we're going to take that chunk of that and use the standard marketing tricks and techniques to get it sold out before we even have to worry about shipping and everything like that over there. I think that's more of where they're going to go with it. And the piece that you're looking at, I think, is just more of a way to give them a backdoor to get out if they have to change it in the future. If this blows up in their face because of outrage and stuff like that, I think that's why they're going to try to maybe make it take a step back in the future.
My default setting with Wizards these days is automatically to the most crappy business practice you can think of. Which again, it just feels dirty. Something about this does not feel right to me.
It's a limited run special art cards, and they have always been very straightforward about it being, for the most part, limited run. They cost more. I mean, you pay $30 to $40 for like 5 cards.
Yeah, but at least with
like
with the way they've done print on demand in the past is it, and again, this is going back to their statement where they're like, it takes forever. Because what they do is they open up the Secret Lair for 2-3 weeks, let everybody order what they want, and everybody's guaranteed to get it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Which I think is the best thing for the fans. If you really want this and you're willing to spend the $30 on 5 cards, right? So, for example, I ordered my wife the Doctor Who Secret Lairs.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
You might see it by December 2024.
I'm not worried that we're actually going to get it, though. You know what I mean? Whereas when you do limited print run, like you said, scalpers, everything else, especially with Magic, like I just think it's a bad idea, and it just smells to me like it seems unnecessary.
It's the same thing they do with the limited runs in the shoe market and stuff like that. Nike doesn't make any extra money off the secondary market of shoes. Okay. But sneakerheads will log on at 5:30 in the morning
or sit outside of a Foot Locker for 2 days.
No, they don't even do that anymore. It's only no. Nike sells direct for these things now.
Oh, really?
They don't give it to Foot Locker and all that crap. They sell direct. You got to get onto the sites where they do either they do it directly through Nike or they do it with a combination where they take a cut, right? And these sneakerheads will get on and they will bash the pre-order for that kind of stuff to make sure they can cop a pair. And that's what's happening here, right? You and I both know that it takes a certain number of things to get printed when you ship in print from China, for instance, right? The more you print, the more, the least it costs per card and things like that. If they can plan out these things ahead of time, then they know what is essentially a fixed cost for the year versus a variable cost. And for instance, if they got, let's say 1,300 orders of that Doctor Who piece, but they needed 1,500 to actually do like a true like break even sort of point with the types of printing and stuff like that. That leaves them with roughly what I said, 1,300, so about 200 packs of those cards left over, for instance, that they've got to then sell to card stores or something. They've got to get rid of them somehow, right? Or they're just extra at that point. And so I think this is a way to kind of do that fixed cost kind of thing. I think where you might be kind of coming with it being shady is it's not best for fans, truly, right? Like you said, you ordered it, you feel like you're guaranteed you're going to get it. I've ordered a couple of them now that have been 3, 4, 5 months ago and still haven't gotten it.
That's not weird for Secret Lair. That's always kind of been the case.
But when you pay that much money for cards, and it's like 5 cards or something like that, which is kind of what these little Secret Lair drops are and stuff. Like, it took me the better part of a year to get the Cyberpunk lands in.
Yeah.
And those weren't foiled or anything. I didn't get the foil version of them. Those were basic kind of cards. That is the part that I think a lot of people have issues with. And rightfully so. Like, could you not get those cards printed in America somehow and get them out to people a little bit quicker?
Again,
maybe? I don't know.
No, it absolutely. Somebody in the chat is saying they think that WotC's conspiracy theory, WotC endgame is to destroy the secondary market, either fee-wise or pushing Arena. So, again, I have not physically been inside of Wizards headquarters, but I will tell you this. If they could get away with never printing a D&D book and printing no more Magic cards, physical cards, ever again, they would do it in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. I do know that there was some consternation because the eBay acquisition of TCG Player was done very quietly and it was done very quickly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that took it off the market for Wizards to even be able to get close to it. When Hasbro was in acquisitions mode a year and a half ago, about the time they acquired D&D Beyond. I have no doubt they would have liked to have acquired TCG Player or one of those marketplaces. TCG Player obviously being the biggest. And yes, if they could push everybody to Arena, they would. There were multiple promotions in the store to push people to Arena.
Mm-hmm.
Like they did in-store stuff to push people to Arena. Right? Yeah. To entice us money. To entice us to push them to Arena.
Which is ludicrously stupid, because you're essentially saying, hey, local game store, advertise this online only digital product for us so people won't come back in your store.
Yeah. And I'm wondering what's going to happen when the VTT comes out. That's a whole other thing that we've discussed in the past.
People will stick with Foundry because that's the one that's been out on, it wasn't the loss leader. It's been out on the market for a while. It's really good. And it's cheap. And by the way, you can own it, not subscribe to it. You pay one time instead of a subscription thing, and you can have all of the stuff in there. You can import anything you want in there and stuff like that.
I'll be curious to see how the pricing model for the VTT comes out. Because there's only rumors right now. They've never confirmed anything. Yeah, like I said, if they could push everything to an all digital product, I mean, it's literally the same with video games. Video game companies love the fact that we're moving to a mostly digital model. They don't like burning fucking CDs and having to ship them all over the country. It's so much easier to manage your stuff when 90% of your sales are digital and you don't have to ship things. You don't have to worry about things being late. You don't have to worry about that stuff. We saw this with the launch of Lorcana. One of the 3 distributors for Lorcana, who was a big distributor for Lorcana, most of the major game stores in the Seattle area did not get their Lorcana shipments drop weekend because one of the suppliers screwed up. Massively. So Mox didn't have that stuff weekend of. It's a giant logistical mess. If they could get away from that, they would. They're just not there yet. And here's the thing. Until they get Commander onto Arena, it's never going to take off.
I don't think you're going to get it. I don't even think you're going to get it then. They've made a product in Spell Table that makes it easy for people to play anywhere in the world. And the amount of money they make per card is more than what they make on Arena. And I think you're going to have a hard time trying to get the casual people to want to go into Arena and play all the time than you would trying to. Eventually, the amount of money that somebody spends on Arena is not going to eclipse the amount of money that it takes to run the servers and things like that. Because you've got those people who only have 1 or 2 commander decks, and that's all they want. And they're fine with it. But there's no cost to Wizards of the Coast if they only have those couple of commander decks. They're still playing, they're still keeping people engaged and stuff. If you go to a fully digital sort of piece where nobody owns anything with it, yeah, I think they would prefer something like that, but I think it's you're actually going to end up losing people a lot more than I think you would end up retaining people. I'm
curious because, again, I think they've seen it done with the DVD market, where movie studios have mostly killed the DVD market. And I don't put it past Hasbro to be arrogant enough to say we can do the same thing. But
no, they can't.
I mean,
they can't and they won't. Plain and simple.
Going to be interesting. It's going to be, this year for WotC is going to be really, really interesting to see what happens.
It's going to be a very bad year for WotC.
They got 8-9 sets dropping and supposedly the new D&D. So let's see how this goes for you, Wizards. Let us know what you think. Are you happy about this move with Secret Lair? Do you think that it's good or bad for consumers? I mean, what do you think? Go ahead and leave us some comments down in the comment section below.